So I've got a special edition. I'm going to have a very interesting guest, Bryce, Elton Bryce of Bryce Nation. So kindly bear with me just for a second. I'm trying to edit. Thank you so much, Bryce Nation. Elton Bryce of Bryce Nation.
Actually, now it's Elton Bryce of Bryce Nation, Ivy League Empire, Ivy League Uday. So I'm now signed to other people. So I got to,
Cool.
I got to give them props.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, man. Take us through Urban Grooves. Start to where it's at.
Okay, fine. First of all, I'll give a lot of due credit to Delane Makalima. I think he was like the founding father. There were a lot of guys who were supporting him, like Anna Gilbert or whatever, despite whatever end up happening between them. But they were the core of that. And then what happened later on, you saw artists like Rocky rising, and Take Five and all that. But that's not what we're here to talk about, because your question is, how did Urban Grooves fall? As far as I'm concerned, Urban Grooves didn't fall not because the artist stopped making music that was relevant. It was partly. I felt like from the beginning of Urban Grooves, there was no business structure in Urban Grooves. Because from what I understand, Urban Grooves was a reflection of what was happening in the urban and the pop culture in America, which was hip hop, and was being brought to Zimbabwe. But if you go to America, at that time you had labels like Rockefeller, Bad Boy, Death Row, and all those who were there. Even though those companies were independent, they knew one thing, that there's a certain structure that you follow in the industry, and that structure has got managers, has got producers, has got A&Rs, has got pluggers, has got distribution. Distribution was a very big deal. When Urban Grooves came onto the scene, they were very rebellious to distribution, to the companies which were there. I'm not going to mention the companies because it's not necessary, but everybody knows the companies which were there in that era. There was a lot of accusations of people not being happy about how their funds were being handled and how the marketing was being done, that they felt like they were not being prioritized, right? So I think at that time, Step Aside, the owner of Galaxy, decided to do his own distribution deal, to have his own distribution channel, where basically artists were making music and they would make CDs, and they'll literally just go around and sell those CDs, And I remember meeting my young brother Rocky and a few other guys going around selling those CDs. Now, that was a good idea, right? The only problem with that idea is it's an idea which needed a lot of money for it to work, because you are looking at a very big country. Right, and mind you, half the suburbs which are there right now were not even there. So all these areas were so spaced apart. So being able to reach those areas was very difficult with sound. But don't get me wrong, even though dancehall is big right now in the low density suburbs, Urban Grooves was also big. It was also big in those areas. People were still playing that stuff. I remember going to Sports Diner. And David Chifunyiso was like a superstar. There like people all over him, like people, there was like a frenzy around him. So the thing that happened is, when Urban Groove started, it didn't realize that the artists would need managers, not guys who were just hanging around artists because they had money and they're willing to sponsor an artist because it's convenient for that person to hang around with an artist because he's able to get girls from it, or because he's boss so and so and so and so. I'm talking about people who understand the industry and are willing to do it. Are not doing it from a selfish point of view, are willing to do it to get the artist to where they're supposed to get to. Some people were being managed by their brothers, some people were being managed by their girlfriends. It was that kind of thing. So there was no proper management, and nobody was actually making an effort to go and learn management. At the same time, while all this is happening, in other countries, they're building up their industries. Nigeria is building up its industry, and they're doing it properly.
One
They're
second.
having
Somebody says, Chishamiso says she's not hearing so well. Can you hear us so well, Chishamiso? Chashe, I don't know if we're loud enough. Can you hear Bryce?
Speak louder.
Let us know if it's now clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly well. I think,
I
yeah,
can hear you. I can hear you perfectly. Even the picture quality, I'm actually surprised. It's this good. I didn't,
yeah. Cool. Go ahead. I think if she's having problems, she'll let us know. Yeah, you were talking
right.
about
So,
other countries.
so other countries are also building the industry. When Urban Groove started, right? Even all the artists who are there right now, all of them, if they are to be honest, every single one of them who claims that they done everything right. Not having a hit song is not doing everything right. Being popular is not doing everything right. But having a proper manager, like a trained manager, not just a guy who's putting money into you, a trained manager who have a strategy and a plan, who understands the business, who understands the whole scope, who knows how to groom an artist and get an artist there, who understand artist psychology, who understand how to brand an artist. Few of them, if any of them had that. Two, there was no distribution. And it is still the problem in Zimbabwe right now. Even dancehall has no distribution as we speak. Yes, they've managed to get their music to certain places, but there's no channel to say, oh, they can never sit back. If there's anybody right now who can sit back and say, you know what, my record has reached 4 million people or 10 million people, there's no way of checking. It's random. It reaches as many people as it can. So the Zimbabwean music industry needs to be able to have a structure. That is the reason why now before I get sidetracked, when that happened, you got to a point where Delaney, who was the godfather of the game, I never like to use the word the godfather. I leave the word God to God. You know, who was the boss father of the game or the founding father of the game, moved to SA, and other people came onto the scene and stepped up. Tech Five stepped up with TBA. You know, with the whole Chigutiro, Rocky was in there, and a whole lot of other people came through to build that. Everybody continued. Some artists went and signed up with Metro, right? Some didn't. Some were still doing their own thing. There's some artists who were never signed to any company at all, who were doing their own distribution on their own. Now, when that happened, is people still didn't have a way. People still didn't have a way of accessing the music, right? Now,
But
understand one thing. Yeah, go on.
but this is the music that is getting 90, 70, 85%, 75% on radio.
Right. Okay, fine. You have to be able to understand one thing. Not every show on radio is listened to by people. Not every show on radio is consumed by people, and no one sits the whole day and listens to the radio. There are certain shows that people would listen to, and certain shows people will bump into. So having radio airplay alone doesn't mean that you are gonna get there. And this is the other thing. If you have a plugger will still do a follow-up to the radio station and make sure that your records are being played at the right time by the right DJs. And all these guys had no pluggers. All they'll just do is they'll go and drop their records at radio and leave the rest up to the DJ. The DJ needs to be convinced. He needs to be told about certain things. He needs to be shown the record. He needs to be sold the dream. No one was doing that for Urban Grooves. No one is doing that right now as we speak. We as Bryce Nation, we have tried to go to Kenya, to go to Tanzania, to go to Malawi. Like we were doing Malawi before anyone else. People are doing shows in Malawi now. We started that thing. If you go back as far as Amelia, you can go back as far as Cherish Bryce. Like 10 years ago, we were doing that. We're doing collaborations. We're doing all that. We were trying on their own. I remember a time when we were in Urban Grooves meeting. An Urban Grooves meeting at Zimex Mall, and I stood up and I said, guys, let's put our records together. I will take the records myself personally to these countries. You won't have to pay me nothing. A certain producer and a number of people got up and said, why should we push our music outside when we haven't even reached our goals here? I'm not going to mention names. Everybody was there knows who said what and what was said. But is that not the same market that everybody's following now and rushing to now? Is that not the Africa that everybody's chasing now? That is the era with Urban Grooves. Urban Grooves needs to be able to own up and say, you know what? We got into something, we made good music, but we didn't make good business. They didn't
So
make good business.
you spoke about distribution, and you were about also, sorry, before I interject, you were about to talk about ZimDancehall.
Right.
Yes.
Now, understand one thing. What happened with ZimDancehall is ZimDancehall, like everyone else, the moment you do something right, you inspire someone. Understand one thing. Right now, you've got your station online, and it's coming from a different. It's like a new style of doing it. I can guarantee you right now, you're inspiring 2, 4 other people who are going to do what you're doing right now. But depending on how you move, they might do it better, or they might never. Ebb and Grooves, what they didn't realize is the moment they came out and said, we are here, they inspired. They inspired 2 types of people. They inspired kids from Borodale and low-density suburbs who now came onto the scene. You now saw the 10 Diamonds and all those are guys coming onto the scene. They also inspired the kids in the ghetto. And the ghetto youth were doing it their own style. Now, the ghetto youth knew that they didn't have the time to go to radio and understand how the radio system went. So they recorded their music and they put it on the minibuses. So when Ebb and Grooves wasn't pushing music and making music, the ghetto youths were making the music and making it available, and people were listening to it. And in the beginning, if you remember when Dancehall came through, it was just funny. It was like, oh, they're doing this, they're singing funny music, right? It was like jokes. Then it got serious. The lyrical content got serious. The artists got serious. They started doing videos, and now you got artists who are doing videos par to par as the urban artists, or as the not par to par, like blow for blow. Like the quality is on point. So it goes back to my thing. The urban artists did not have a business structure. They didn't even create imprint record labels amongst themselves to push their music. They didn't have a distribution channel, so the consumer had no way to get the music. I'm not going to wait for Plot to come around with this bag of CD for me to consume his music. I want to be entertained. So if John is playing his music in the combi and it's funny, I want to know where that music is available. Oh, the music is available at Gulf, so I'm going to go to Gulf and put it on my phone. If I hear it ringing on someone else's ringtone, it's going to happen. The urban artists were trying to be too smart for the game. Like they were too much on top for the game that it was so difficult for the consumer to reach them. Then they didn't create a system for the consumer to be able to pick from. That's what happened. Yes, they got left behind by sound. Africa was coming. But Africa didn't just come in and just pop. They were seeing these things. They were seeing Bryce Nation making these records with Roberto Banda and all these people on radio, and they were hearing these records. But it sounded stupid then. But it was coming. Africa was coming. And Africa came into the Zimbabwean doorstep. So now Urban Grooves artists had now had to fight African artists who were now getting into their market. And they had now had to fight dancehall. And they didn't have the muscle to fight that. So they gave up. When they were supposed to fight harder, when they were supposed to push for their sound. Understand, I come from R&B and hip-hop, which is now Afro-pop. It's a small genre. So the fact that I'm still in the game right now and I'm now signed to an American label, and I wasn't even coming from the mainstream sound, tells you that the guys who were on the mainstream sound were playing somewhere. They were not doing their job. Because everybody was busy being a superstar, was busy settling for what was there instead of going for more. Once you reach this level, you can't stay here. You got to keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And sometimes going higher means you got to be signed by someone else. P. Diddy didn't own all of Bad Boy in the beginning. He wasn't running it in the beginning. He only took control of it a few years ago. So every single Urban Grooves artist, because they were stars, they still wanted to be the boss. They were not willing to be signed under someone else. They felt that the manager always has to be under them, always has to do this. They had to find them. I remember having an artist who was like a brother of mine said to me, you know, Bryce, I'd love for you to manage me, but you can't manage me because I'm looking for someone who can put money into me. I'm looking for a person with money. A person with money might have money, but they don't have the brains for it. They don't understand the game. Music business is a different kind of game. You got to be a certain kind of animal to be able to navigate, to be able to make a certain kind of records, to be able to know when to put those records across, to be able to know to humble yourself. I was a boss at my label. I've got African artists signed to my label, but I had to go and sign someone else. Why? Because I realized that the American game is the thing right now. Digital distribution. Everything is now digital. It's now being consumed digitally. That's the future of music consumption, and you've got to be able to move with that. So the urban artists, that's where they made their mistake. There was no business.
you mentioned something of interest. The bosses, the people that were ready to put in money. Did these people really come through? What happened?
If listen to me, if those people did come through, right, we wouldn't have been having this conversation. You understand? If those people had put monies into the artists, they didn't. They put a little bit of money to keep the artists interested. In some cases, some artists were going through it on their own, right? But here's the story. Understand one thing. If Jay-Z, let me look for the right artist, not Jay-Z. If 50 Cent, one of the biggest rappers of our time, and Eminem could go and sign up to another recording label, Eminem is still under Shady Aftermath as we speak right now. What makes you an urban artist in Zimbabwe not sign up or at least create an imprint?
But what were
So
these
that your
record
business
labels
gets
offering? What
Yeah,
would they sign
understand
for?
one thing. Understand one thing. Being signed sometimes doesn't mean that someone else is signing to give you money. Understand one thing. No record label gives nobody, no artist money unless you show the value for it. If you're given in advance, you still pay for the money. So akuna record label inopa munhu mari mahara. What have you done? Who are you? Because you can sing, everybody can sing. Record labels don't give people money. What happens is you actually prove to them that you're able to make those sales. They give you an advance which they still take back. I thought you know my artist broker even in America because vanenge vapiwa ma advance. Akuna manopiwa mari. So because artists in this world think that you get money, akuna record label unopiwa mari because you can sing. How does that happen?
Yeah, I
Because you've got a good voice, you don't get money. You get a good voice because you are bankable. You can make sales. So let's not be confused with the artists. What record labels do? Recording contracts. The label is signing the artist because they have got the know-how of the music game. They have got the connections to get the artist there, and they have got a structure, a system, and a machine that can push records. That's why an artist signs up. But in that whole process,
do we have that in Zimbabwe?
We don't have it a lot, but we've got a number of people who are doing it. We've got a number of people who are capable of doing it. But like you were saying, all artists think that, why should I sign to someone? You want to get money? No, you don't want to get money. You want to get the person's knowledge and his connection, his influence. Because Bryce is going to quality. Mark D can be a record label. Because they now know Mark D has the quality. Mark D is a DJ, an idea on how things work. So Mark D will need an accountant. Mark D will need a marketing person. Mark D will need whatever to create a record label. That is what a record label is. A record label is a machine. That's why it's called a recording deal. It's not called a recording handout. You're not getting money for nothing. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to give you money. I'm not going to give you money. Jay-Z is not going to give you money. Nobody's going to give you money until you prove that you can sell. When you can sell records, then you get something. It is advanced. But I say, Mario, don't go to Hongkong and I went, kumana. Ubunyu ungafake kudaro. Hakuna zvakadaro.
Earground.
So now, very interesting. What's your take on ZimDancehall, the current state of ZimDancehall? Why I'm asking this because in the context of avoiding the mistakes that Urban Groove has made.
ZimDancehall is going to have a few problems, but nothing major. The problem that ZimDancehall is going to have is you still get the same kind of, I call them culture vouchers. People who are not there when the culture is built, they'll come through because they've got money or they've got a little bit of influence or they know how to lure certain artists. They'll put them there. They might put a little bit of money. See, the problem is artists are they're comfortable in getting a car. So you can drive around. But understand one thing, what you're doing right now is what you've put 10 years into it. That's what's going to take care of your kids. Look at me. I've been doing this for 20 years. I got white hair, I got gray hair, I got kids who go to school. Fees need to be paid. Bills need to be paid. Right? So because of that, when I make my decisions, I make them looking ahead. Shout out to Ivy League Empire. They're making sure that I'm straight, right? But for dancehall, they need to be able to still go back and create an accountable distribution channel where they know kuti ja master abudisa marecords aya marecords asvika area yakadai so. That way they'll know his value. Macharges are kuitwa even for mashows awo, it's just kungoti ndo going rate. Where you want to charge this amount of money, but Wink is charging this. But you can't sit back and say, no, I'm worth this amount of money, because there's no way of you proving how much you're worth. You understand where I'm coming from? So all these artists need to be able to get to a point where they have got a proper manager who understands the game, even if that manager is overseeing your cousin that you want to be around, even if it's a consulting company that is managing you. It helps you create your brand and gets your brand where it's supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, it's still music business, whether it's being done in Zimbabwe, South Africa, or Kenya. It's still music business, and the music business is music business. Wherever you're doing it, you got to do it right. So dancehall needs to be able to be accountable. Dancehall also needs to be able to upgrade their production as far as mixing and mastering is concerned, branding, how my covers are done, how videos are done. The videos have really stepped up. They already have the numbers, so their work is very little. They already have the numbers. They want the people's hearts. Their content relates to people. It might not be for everyone, but it relates to people. They also need to be able to know how to court the corporate world. And they can't court the corporate world right now because they don't have a system where they can say, I'm worth this much, I'm this. And then they also have to remove that whole thing. Sometimes they're unreliable. They have to be able to pitch up to shows. They have to be, everything that they do has to be on paper. Because paper helps someone else feel comfortable. Because you can come to me and say, Plot is my artist. I say no one did, but I will not contract. What makes me think good Plot is going to pitch up for a show? Yeah. If you are coming through, you also do Geza. How do I know with you? I want to invite you to a corporate gig. I got managers there, I got whatever. But people, these bosses are dancing to dancehall. But you understand one thing, like Cindy was saying, the urban artists are still raking in, and urban grooves is not dead. The biggest artist in the country right now is an urban grooves artist. So don't get it twisted.
Who's that?
XQ is scooping out XQ. XQ is scooping awards. XQ is doing it. So urban artists have got a chance using XQ as a flagship. They've got a template. There's nothing better to have someone who's already a pioneer, who puts it out there for you. I don't the formula. All you have to do is just improve it. So dancehall needs to be able to create a business structure. If they don't create a business structure, it will happen. But already that's when a new style of artist that's coming in, and Enzo Aishal, Jamaster. I'm a Jamaster fan. Actually, I am. But he's funny in his own way. I like Enzo Aishal. He's got a few. I like his song with Big Buff. I like that track. I play it like a lot, especially when I'm jogging or whatever. So you see, I do like dancehall and I appreciate it. But at the same time, all these things don't matter. Being popular with no money don't matter, because at the end of the day, we grow old. When you grow old, at some point you'll be relevant. When you become irrelevant, unengo sina mari. Kana sina mari, auna raramu. So if you've got to be able to do your business right now, so that you've got enough money to save.
Yeah, thank you so much for the last 5 minutes, and then we wrap it. We'll try and see if we can connect to Bryce again.
Yes, I'm back.
Thank you.
I'm back. Okay, so I read a comment. Achilles said something. First of all, I need him to understand something. I'm not blaming Urban Grooves. I signed an Urban Grooves artist. I still consult for a number of Urban Grooves artists. I've organized collaborations for a number of Urban Grooves artists right now as we speak. And I'm doing more for Urban Grooves. I haven't even done a single thing for dancehall because it's not my place. You understand? So I'm not blaming, so we're not blaming the losing team. Urban Grooves hasn't lost. It just needs to restructure. You understand? So, I saw someone, Akili, whom I'm a fan of. by the way. You know, I have listened to his music. Um, yeah, so basically, just to clear that up, going back to urban music, urban music, whatever that's there in dancehall right now is there because urban music also paved the way for it. And I think kind of Sniper Storm were coming from that era, and you know, and and everything else. But if we're saying we want to help urban music get back to where it's supposed to get to, we want it to, you know, to be where it's supposed to, they have to be able to understand where they went wrong. And our Zimbabwean music industry as a whole has to be able to understand how things work. I know everybody right now blames. I know there was a time when artists were getting pressure. Kuranzi, you're not doing my quality videos. You know, there is no way an artist is going to do a quality video if you're not buying the music, right? If you're not, if you're not putting money into the music, the artist, akuna, there is no place where artists go and put their hands in and you know, and they pull hundreds or thousands of dollars out, right? People have to be able. I mean, we would leave the country and go to countries like Malawi to shoot videos. It used to cost money. Artists had to be put in a hotel. They had to be fed, right? Outfits had to be done. You have to pay for a lot of those people. It's money that comes out of our own pockets, right? And we're not saying everybody is going to like our music. Some people will like, some people will not like. But those who genuinely like and those who believe should put the money into. But you cannot not put the money in, then still blame the artist. Could, oh no, you know what? You should do a video like Beyonce, or you should do like the Nigerians. If you go to the Nigerian industry and understand how it works, you'll understand the difference between us and them, where their money comes from, and how their corporates believe them, and how their country as a whole believes them. But above all, the Nigerian music artists can still make money and put it out because they have got distribution. I have just signed a deal with Ivy League, Good Day Empire, because of distribution. Even though people say Bryce Nation is this, Bryce Nation is that, I realized that I needed distribution that was bigger than where I was at. And there is no way, come on, you can't get into the game and you still just remain you on your own and you run your own machine by yourself. How?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Artists have to remember one thing: music, in a time frame, in expiry date, at some point you won't be relevant. Very few people get to survive for 14 years like Anna Cindy, Nana XQ. I think XQ is probably 20, yeah, 20 somewhere there. That's a long time. that's a lifetime achievement. Even if you're not hitting number one, we should go to number 5, number 10, or you still have fans. That's a lot, but still that should be complemented by my deals. There is no merchandising deals in Zimbabwe. There's no endorsements in Zimbabwe. Like, I'm talking about real endorsements. Not na Peter, you are now a brand ambassador for a company. Here is $1,000.
Or phone.
And you do free PR. I'm talking about real deals where you sit in that with those people and you negotiate your deal and you know your value. But artists can't get their value. Why? Because there's no place where they can make reference. Because this is my value. This is what I'm worth. I've got so many fans. These are my sales. How many artists right now in Zimbabwe can show us their digital sales chart? This is how much I sold over this period. Or in when I do a show, I get 500,000 people. Because you can get a person who's got 100,000 people who follow them, and they're not even reaching 5,000 of sales on CD. Something is wrong there. You've got to go back and look at what is wrong. How is this possible? How is it that in Nevano vari munda mangu vari 200 and the munda wangu is just 1 acre, but they're spending 8 months vachisakura panzvimbo 1. That's what's happening. Why? You can't blame the consumer, because the consumers, they take what they're given. There is no structure. There's no industry structure. The artists need to understand how the business works. Artists don't understand how the business works. They watch interview on MTV, and they want to apply those things in Zimbabwe. And they want to act like the American superstars. But the American superstars have got a team, a machine behind them. Check any American artist when they go for interviews, how many people are there? That's all you see. The entourage is big. But not, some entourage, some of those people are just hanging around. most of them are working. They're putting something together. And our artists don't have a machine, don't have a system, don't have the education in the music, not education in which choro, in the music industry on how it works. Half the artists, try this, half the artists that you talk to don't even know what a copyright is, what a moral right is, what a neighboring right is. Rights of their own music. They don't even know what publishing is. If you ask them what is publishing, you can never get a detailed answer of what publishing is or what is distribution. They have an idea. They have never an idea what marketing is, what a manager does, because there's still a confusion between a promoter, a sponsor, and a manager. That alone tells you the problem that we have. Because if you are plotting and you are the artist and you are telling me that for me to manage you, I have to put monies into you. Why? Music is a gamble. I have to come up with ways and systems of getting you there. I have to be able to push your brand and find money somewhere. But for me to find money somewhere, you got to be someone who's manageable. You can't have a manager if you're not manageable. If you're just doing whatever you want, you don't pitch up at shows, you do whatever you want to do, then how? There are artists in Zimbabwe who should have been millionaires by now. Straight up millionaires. But because they made bad decisions and some of them felt they knew so much, they thought the industry would wait for them. No, no one's going to wait for you. If you come out right now, yes, if you come out right now, I know there's another Bryce Nation building up somewhere, brewing somewhere. There's another kid who is looking at everything that I do. His father's got more money at his disposal to put into him. He's got more uncles and aunties who support him. And he wants the Bryce sport, and he wants to take it higher and further. So I got to work hard. I got to stay on my toes. I got to keep pushing. I got to make the right decisions. I know when to be humble. I know when to be humble. I know when to sign to someone else. I know where things get bigger for me. I've got to be able to do that. That's how I've survived. For 20 years, I've been doing this.
But on that example, if I'm looking at most of the artists that are popping up now, they are not coming from any fancy background. They are not moneyed. They are literally hungry young people that have talent and drive to create music, and they're popping up from the West communities.
Do you know what? Which is beautiful. But at the end of the day, anywhere you are under the sun, music takes money to market it and promote it for it to be able to reach those levels. Just because an artist has managed to do something and they've managed to buy a car, it means that they've managed to move from point A to point B. But how do we make sure that that artist is going to be doing music 10 years from now? Is going to be safe financially? How many? I saw an interview of a dancehall artist who used to be hot a few years ago right now, and he wasn't in very good shape because monies are not coming in anymore. Shows are not there anymore. When the music stops being relevant, where are we? That car is hot right now. It's not hot 4 years from now. And cars need to be maintained.
Earground.
And what happens? What happens? Sorry. At what point do you think an artist recognizes that things are not well, and how is the process to adjust? You have been a star. You have been the most sought after artist, and now your music is not playing on radio anymore. You're no longer popular anymore. You're no longer making money as you were making before. You are not the same person that you were before, simply because your fame is gone, your money is gone, there's no income, there's nothing. What does an artist go through? What is the process like? How does an artist transcend from that to a normal life? Because I've seen quite a lot of artists struggling, and at times people laugh at them and stuff.
Plot vanhu vakawanda vanonyebera vanhu sireki. Ngataura nechokwadi. Chokwadi chakamira chakadai so. You are a star today. You are not a star in the next 10 years. Right. So for you to be able, because this is your real life, this is your life. People see spasms of your life when you're on stage or when you're on radio or when you're on your music video.
Yeah.
But your real life requires you to make the right decisions. Artists have to know one thing. You are not, we don't get into the music industry, we get into the music business. Every business needs accounting. Every business needs marketing. Every business needs advertising. Every business needs managers for a business to work. So as long as you are just willing to pay one person, it's not going to work. You got to be willing to part with your money with at least 5 people until those 5 people make it to that point. But you can't want to take all the money to your house in the beginning. You've got to have a machine, a team that rides for you, that think for you. Artists, understand one thing, artists are not business people. They're creatives. And creatives need to be managed. So what happens when the creative is not being managed? You create all the hot music. Then he won't know how to evolve. When he doesn't know how to evolve, he's just going to die there. His sound will just die there. So if you're an artist right now, whether you're the top artist or you're the lowest artist, you've got to be able to find areas to invest in. You've got to be able to find people who help you make the right decisions. Some of the decisions might not be popular with your mom or with your dad, or you're paying too many people because you want. You've got to make sacrifices. The process making of a record at Bryce Nation is like 6-7 people. The new Cindy album was produced by like 4 producers. The other album like 5, and we have to part with something for that to happen, for us to be able to give that sound. So all the other artists need to be able to go through that whole process again, because when you keep doing the same thing, it becomes monotonous. I can't keep producing for Cindy every year. You get bored of it. It's the same idea being recycled. Right? Business-wise, I got to bring in other people. That's why I do bring in Ivy League and all these people. Said they also bring in new ideas. They also bring in new markets, so the music grows. So my artists do problem. They think that they're going to be stars forever, and they're hoping that they're going to be bigger stars than they are. But to become a bigger star, you've got to grow. What if I had to bring in Debbie Metcalf and all those kind of people to make that thing work? So it's not just going to happen on its own. It's not magic. It's a science that needs people who understand it to be able to get there. You might not like those people. We're not here to be friends. We're here to make money. Nobody likes their boss or their workmate, but they wake up in the morning and they go and work. So artists themselves, you can tell from how a person just dresses. Even you go in a one jean or one t-shirt, really clean, uri presentable, uchioneka uchara business rako riripo. Even if it means unokwenda kumpedza nhamo kunotsvaka hembe, do that. Because no level ya uri. But then everybody wants to run. Okay, waita kashow nhasi, or waita 10,000 mako mako wakunotenga motikari. You can't afford a car. You've got $10,000, it can buy a car. You can afford a car because the car needs maintenance. A car needs a lot of things. But at the same time, you need to invest your money where the money came from, into the music. The car won't help you anyway, but just image. You don't go big budget or one motor or Gucci, but you need to invest in what you do. You need to have your own little small studio, your workstation, Mhako. You need to be able to evolve from being an artist to being a producer to having a record label. We've seen this thing right in front of our eyes. Jay-Z. All these guys, they're doing it. The examples are there. But give me an example in Zimbabwe. Ja
is doing it.
Yes, he's doing it right.
Doing it. Yeah.
Yes, those are examples that are there that people should be following. Even if you don't like Ja Praiser, even if you don't like Winky, but if Winky is doing something right, even if keep pushing until you get there. I had people that felt like I was annoying them, but I wanted to know. So I was in their case I used to bother Dijana Makalima every day. He had to show me something. He had to show me how the game worked, and he did. And other things I learned from other people. Other things I learned from my own reading, studying, just looking at how the thing works.
Do you think a lot of artists in Zimbabwe want to read or do read and want to understand how things function?
They don't. Because if they did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So understand the things I'm telling you about, they're on the internet.
So artists are not reading.
I'm not saying artists are not reading. I'm saying artists are stuck in an era where they feel like all you have to do is to make the records and go to shows. Make records, go to shows. Make records, go to shows. It doesn't work like that. 80% of the money being made by the top artists in the world has got nothing to do with shows. It's about endorsements, about creating products. Vangwana my websites, vangwana my apps, vangwana chi. Which artists in Zimbabwe do you see going through that route? People get tired of t-shirts. I don't want to wear. This is Kenneth Cole. I don't want to wear a t-shirt with someone else's name. That's the truth. I don't want to wear Kenneth Cole. I don't want to wear whatever, right? But I can wear a shoe. I can wear whatever. I can. Someone can buy lipstick. Someone can buy things. My products. Partner up. Never. People like Anamada Boss. Pinda Musho business in Asia. I my products. What does it tell you? Like seriously, what does it tell you? With our artists, Mother Boss has barely been 10 minutes in the game. The people who have been in the game for 20 years. I wasn't buying anything.
There's no business to show it.
Okay, music. This is what music. Sometimes music that doesn't give you money. It gets you attention.
And what do you do with that attention?
With that attention. You can be. I have from music. I've managed to be in a room full of my CEOs of the mining industry, of whatever, because your artist is performing there. So you got to be able to dress right. You got to be able to know the language that you speak now. You've got to know the jokes that these guys like. You got to be able to understand them. So it makes sense for them to talk business with you and for them to respect you. And opportunities arise from there. So grooming comes in as a big part of the whole thing. Hit song alone is not enough because hit songs are hard to come by. Hit songs are expensive to get. I don't even know where they come from. I'm sure they come from God. But hit songs are expensive to get. You don't just get them. So when you get a good song, you've got to be able to know how to manage it, how to use it as a currency for you to get to the next level. And I feel like our artists need to be able to learn that. So no matter how many times we speak, we have got 14 million people. If Davido can come and sell a ticket at $20, singing in a language that people don't really get what he's saying, and people who are singing in Shona language that people can get, it means that there's something that we are not doing right for people to choose. Yes, people sometimes prefer Chunichikunze than Chenyu. But if Davido is getting $20 and is filling up HICC, our artists should be able to fill up HICC with $10. As a single artist, not as a condensed show of 10, 12 people. No. We haven't reached that level where single artists are going about and is doing a tour of the country on their own and people are packing up. We haven't reached that level. Why? Because certain things are not being done right. And as long as we keep doing that, we'll keep settling. The industry is only as big as its top 10. So as long as the top guy is not buying a jet, is not making $50,000 a show like another Davido are doing, it means that the lower you go, you can actually, I don't have to know how much Ningi is getting. I just have to ask how much the top guy is charging for a show, the second guy, and then I can work out and I know how much an average guy is getting per show. That's where we are right now. So you got artists, average artists in Zimbabwe, they're not really making that much. They can barely pay through rent. We know we are artists, we're in the industry. You can't lie to anyone else. We know. You know how much artists are getting.
The struggle is real.
The struggle is real. People are not getting paid because people are not doing things right. The other thing, artists should stop going to radio and selling poverty. No one wants to buy into. Nobody wants to buy into poverty. All the American artists have told us that they were making money before they were making that money. They used to come out with their bling bling and everything else. They sold us a dream. We have failed to sell a dream. Make believe. It's a make believe world. We have failed to make a dream. Get a haircut. Smell good. Dress up. Get your hair done if you're a female. Look good. So people can see the difference between you, the star, and the ordinary people. But I'm not going to respect you. It's a normal thing. How do we know the person is doing well? Because of the way they dress, the way they smell, the way they conduct themselves. artists need to do that too. They need to be groomed. They need to know what goes with their body, what doesn't go with their body. You know, in the lotion garibo, in the perfume garibo. How do I, how do I how do I look like $1 million? I've always tried, to look good, and I want everyone else to look good. And when I wonder, like Astana, no homo, and I'm diwa, they put themselves right there, So all these youngsters, before they even say anything else, that's the standard. That's what you have to dress like. That's what you have to look like. Clean. I'll figure suit. Could the guys like an Atetian? I'll figure my suit, right? I don't figure he's casual, but it's clean. That's what it needs to be. So that when we say this is our superstar, it looks like a superstar. But we can't say this is our superstar when it doesn't look like a superstar. Then we start to say, So, in your nigga, I define yago, kana nagachena uvura. Kan you uyu arwarunu amgano, kana uyu above ninge shoma. Being a star is hard. Because you got a standard, and it's already set before. Because my stars in the world, like Michael Jackson and Tupac and Chi, they set a certain standard of what it should be like. It doesn't change because you're in Zimbabwe. People don't care if they're married. They'll be like, "I'm not going to force it with your music industry." Look at me. Being in the music industry, you're asking for attention.
So tell me something.
Look at me. Look at me. Then people look at you.
Yeah, true. And then you give them value, and then you get the money. So tell me, before we wind up, this is quite interesting. I think we need to do a follow-up. If you were to advise the front runners currently, the young crop of artists from Zim, talking of the Jazz Signal, the Bazooka, the Mhako, the Master H, the Enzo Aishao, the Windsors and so forth, what would you say to them? This is a crop of young artists, and how I relate to them is because I look at them as young people that have defied their current circumstances and decided to use their talent to dream and live that dream. But I think they will need that kind of guidance and support before we laugh at them that, we told you that they're not gonna make it. This is what people are always expecting. You know how we as Zimbabweans have become so perpetually negative towards anything local. Like literally we're hooked on this negative will. We don't believe anything good can come out of Zimbabwe. We don't believe we can have a star to the level of Wizkid from Zimbabwe. And anyone who tries to rise to that level, we put them down. So what advice, this is my personal perspective, what advice would you give to the new crop of artists?
This is how I would say it. If you want to be able to get a little bit more money than you're getting right now, you need to get corporate attention. You need to get the companies to put money into you. The companies are not going to put money into you if your content is something they can't even play in their boardroom. You understand? In these marketing meetings that people are doing. Then they've got a product that they want to maintain, and they want to maintain a certain corporate image. So whatever music you've got to fit in, as much as you want to be creative, has got to be able to fit into a corporate world so that you get my endorsements and you get corporates to sponsor you. That money helps you do videos. That money keeps you coming from point A to point B. Sometimes you might even get it. You might even get a product, deal with a certain company, right? So first of all, the content has to be managed so that it doesn't become offending, whether religiously, socially, or any other strongly held beliefs in our society as Zimbabwe. That's the benchmark, right? Having 1,000 fans screaming at you because the paitwa pasa or whatever, I don't know what they call them, doesn't bring money in your pocket at the end of the day. You want real money, solid money. Two, get management. You can get someone who is probably maybe your errand manager, but you need to be able to sign up or pay up a management company that you consult that can help you with certain things, whether be it branding, be it marketing, be it whatever. right? Who are not necessarily hands-on on you, but who can help you understand the scope of everything and how to navigate. Two, read about what's happening in the digital world, read about what's happening everywhere else. Reach out, be visible. I know a lot of artists are on Facebook a lot, but there is also my business platforms like I find on LinkedIn, where you meet all the CEOs of these recording companies, where you meet the A&Rs and all the A&Rs of companies are not on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, right? It's also a place for you to be able to play it, grow your fan base, learn to be humble, talk to people, relate to people, understand, hear people out. Don't be rude, right? Be clean, be smart. If I'm and smart, I hear a lot of them singing about smart. Be smart, dress well, bath well, smell good, be the person that people want to be around, have a good personality. That's a start. Get your songs to radio. Even if they don't play it, keep taking it there. I remember my first record, I put my first record to radio, they didn't play it. What do? I took the same songs, I remixed them, I put some people on it, changed the cover, sent it back to radio. They played it. Be aggressive with your art. Be vigilant with your product. But above all, have a vision and goals. Achieve the goals, stick them. If you don't have a goal, you can't just say, I want to be a superstar. If you're waking up in the morning and say, I want to be bigger than Winky, that is not a goal. Because you'll be bigger than Winky, then you won't know what to do with it. But you have to be able to have a vision and a goal, and that's what you have to be able to go to. To the urban artists, this is my advice to you. Stop everything that you are doing. Stop working with the producer that you are working with. Get a new producer. Destroy everything that you've always known as a person. Recreate yourself. Rebrand yourself. Change your sound. And refocus your music again, the same energy and the same channel that you have before, because the formula that you have been using right now is not working. Understand the game, right? Do my online courses on music marketing and whatever, even if you want to self-manage. Get a manager, get a consulting person, like the same thing that I say to the guys with ZimDancehall. Get a consultant, sit down with him, tell him where you are having problems, the truth, but above all, forget about being a star and just come in as a new artist. That's how you survive. Every time, always take yourself like, I'm a new artist, I'm a new artist, I'm a new artist, I'm a new artist. But if you say I'm a star, it's a problem, because you won't listen to anybody when you're being given advice. And sometimes you work with people that you don't like. You don't always have to like everyone that you work with. Normally, the most difficult people are the best people to work with. You need a certain type of aggression to be able to make it in this game. Because understand one thing, I'm not sure. We all want to be number one.
Showbiz.
We all want to be at the top. We can hang out and take my selfies and do whatever. Don't spend too much of your time partying. What are you celebrating? Go into the studio, perfect your art every day. Spend more time in the studio, perfect your art. You bump into that hit song.
Are you ready?
Keep out of trouble. Controversy, I know people are saying controversy sells. Controversy will get your attention for a certain time, but you've got to be able to keep feeding that beast. It's a difficult beast to keep feeding. And the hunger for controversy, people always need it. And Facebook doesn't help. Oh, by the way, while we are there, to artists and to fans, Facebook has now just started licensing music. So
And they started monetizing videos too.
yes. Oh, and by the way, we are doing that as a new company that's launching in the next few days. It's called Afrobeats Vibes. We're monetizing Facebook. We're monetizing. I don't know if there are other companies that are doing it. We're monetizing Facebook. There's a multi-channel YouTube network that's just been set up, and a few other things that are happening. Artists take every single opportunity. Don't go out and say that nzanzi uyakanikuta ndingandibira mari yangu apana mari kubirwa apana mari amati makuita. Because kabata mari yachayoka, the conversation will be so difficult for us to even reach you. Because unongwane cash. Inozapana mari atani cash. Everyone is still trying to get there and try to find their ways. Because if people had money, would be seeing my videos every month. Jah is doing it, is killing it.
I get it. So, last words before I go. I think I want to make this short as possible.
I'm not reading the comments, so people, please forgive me. I'm like on full screen, so I won't be able to respond to any questions.
No, it's fine. We can find a way to get some responses.
Earground Radio plays the music first. Earground.
What about you're working with a female artist? One. What's your advice to female artists in Zimbabwe? The space is male dominated. They are not that they are not talented, but there are not many female artists appearing on posters. There are not many female artists on rotation. There are not many female artists on so many platforms. It seems to be a men's world.
Okay, fine. With every culture that is out there, it has to start from somewhere, right? The female artists, for us to say, there's Cindy, there's Amara, there's Tammy, there's Vimbaisi Muto, there's Diana Samkange, there is Pauline, there is, I don't know if there's a few, I've just mentioned a few. Those people, first of all, there's Placidus Wenyika, those people, first of all, have to be able to create a culture. They have to be able to make music that is linked to each other. That means they could do a compilation, they could do songs together so they present themselves in a certain manner. They have to come together and do condensed shows as female artists so that people see them as female artists.
But
right?
for how long for how long do women have to prove themselves as a cluster based on gender? Do men do that? Because I mean, I've had the same argument a couple of times, and I feel it's fast becoming a cliche because we actually had so many women during urban groups. I think it was almost like 40% women and then or 60% men. But now, looking at ZimDancehall, even the women that were there are vanishing. There's one or two women that you can actually count, except to gospel. This is where you find women, Kunana Mai Patai and so on.
Okay, fine. Understand one thing. Being a female artist has got a few gray areas. The first gray area is eventually some of them get married. Eventually, some of them, they start families, and so that sometimes comes also with their partner saying, "Oh, I'm not comfortable with you doing music. I'm not comfortable with that." And
after they will have seen them at a show, yeah.
At a show, you see what I mean? I mean, they marry them because they're so and so, and then afterwards they're like, "Right, I don't want." But you got to understand one thing. As much as we can want to say, "Oh, we want the female artist to be there. We want the female artist to get an opportunity and everything else." The world is a very unfair place. And sometimes when you want something, people like me, I've always believed in a lot of female artists. I think I've had 10 or 12 female artists on my label since we started, from Cherry, Shamelia, Cindy, a whole bunch of people that I have worked with. But at the end of the day, I don't sign them up saying, "Oh, they're female artists." I don't look at the world like that. I look at talent. But in the event that we are now in a conversation where we are looking at female artists, the female artists, it's no secret now that the female artists are not getting a fair deal. But if the female artists just keep crying in their corners and we keep crying on their behalf, say, "Oh no, they're not getting a chance, they're not getting a chance," what are they doing as female artists to say, "Look, we have grouped here and done this. This is where we are"? That's what I'm saying. They need to be able to make music that's, let them start doing shows together. And create a culture for female artists. Look, who doesn't want to see 8 beautiful girls on stage in one night? Who doesn't want to see that? Who doesn't want to see that? Everybody wants to see that. So the female artists have to be able to do that. They have to take that initiative. Whether it's starting with a song, a condensed song, a very group, or it's one show. I remember Cindy and Clay started doing this thing, even my baby. A number of girls were coming up. That was a culture that was starting.
But this is that's where my argument was coming from, to say, look, these things have been done. They didn't go anywhere.
Plot. Listen to me. Hakuna chinhu chinoitwa one, then it sparks off. Every idea needs to be sold. Every idea needs to be forced onto people. You understand? So as long as we keep, because what you and I are doing right now is we are making them feel more victims. If you make someone feel like a victim, they're going to be withdrawn and they're going to be like, oh yes, you see, even an upload know this, and they make reference to a conversation. No. We're saying to the girls, go out there, be aggressive. Show these guys it can be done. If the guys are releasing one song in a month, you go out and release 3 songs in a month. Prove them out. Go to all these companies. Look for my deals. Do whatever it takes. No one is going to give anybody anything in this world. The guys know that if the female artists come, they're going to take over. So they'll block them. Whether by default, naturally, or whatever. The girls have to go out there and be aggressive. But also the people who can help female artists to get where they're supposed to and still push the agenda. If you feel exploit with female artists are not getting a good deal, play more female music on your show. Push them more. Do more interviews of more female artists. Right? That's how it starts. You'll be surprised how sometimes it's easy to push a culture and push a culture across. But I know one thing for sure, the music industry is an industry where everybody wants to be number one. So the guys amongst themselves to fight out. So if I'm a man and a man we're not very good looking, I'm having a hard time having attention. Pose yaka baby kana kopina industry control all the shine. So I'm going to work hard. I'm going to try by all means with the shows. I can guarantee one thing. My male artists are phone now. I can show it. But male artists are recommend it. They'll recommend the male artist. So the female artist should also do the same thing. Oh, Cindy, when I show you, if any artist recommend it, recommend Amara, recommend Tammy. Don't recommend that guy or that guy or that guy, because what you're doing is you're making it so hard for female artists to be recognized. You're going to have to fight it out. Unfortunately. And the people who support will support. Do you know what's interesting? What's interesting is for the past 3 months, I have watched about 10 female artists, including my own artist, Cindy, do interviews on radio in different platforms. I have not heard a single artist mention 6 other female artists in the interview. I've not heard. It's like they want to compete against each other. But there's nothing to compete against because there's nothing there yet for them. There's a time when the culture, to show you that you have to push it, there's a time when the female artists did amazing stuff. Cindy dropped a video, Tammy dropped a video, Mara dropped a video. That was the culture starting. And if you go check that era when they released those videos, there were a lot of articles about female artists and all that. That's what they need to maintain. That's all. If there are few of them, they should release more music. If there are more of them, they should all release more music than the males. But it's difficult to say, let them match the males because they're more Kawanda and we're releasing music Kawanda. So our cards have to work a little extra harder. And that's why we're there to support them, so that they get there.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bryce. It's been a very interesting, profound, I must say. I've learned so much. And I think we need to find another day to just to converse, and I hope artists will pick 1 or 2. It will never be 100%.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if artists will pick 1 or 2 because this is not a new conversation. It's something that I've always been saying from day one, where people are crying. Look, just as a parting word, I have been on a bus as far as going to Uganda to go and release my music. 3 days on the road. Understand? That's how much I believed in my grind. That's how much. And now I'm in the States because of my grind. Right? I've been to Malawi, I've been to Mozambique pushing my records. So I'm saying to Zimbabwean artists, get off the internet and being whatever and get on the bus. Go and drop your music in Zambia. Let them see you. You might not get the result the first time. You'll get it eventually. Go to Kenya, go to wherever. If you don't have the money, put your monies together. Send someone to go and release your music. It's time for us to start conquering Africa. We can't be a musical colony of other countries. We can't, no offense to any other country, we can't have a party that is dominated by music from another country. And we just sit back and we fold our hands. No, we have to be able to also go and push our sound in those places. But for you to go to another country, you've got to be able to package your music well. Your sleeve has got to be right. The music got to be well mixed and mastered. Because when you go to another country, you are now an international artist.
That's true.
So everything has to be international, and there has to be quality. And when they do call you from the person who picks up the phone, has to be a person who understands and knows how to communicate and understands the business, for you to get a booking, for you to get an interview, for you to get all these things that come with being international artists. It's no longer about Zimbabwe anymore. And Awisha and Enzo Aisha, they've got to know, they have got to step up to the international level. International level is not only doing my collaborations with artists from other countries, it's getting airplay in those countries. It's getting fan bases from those countries. So if we hear people saying someone is now international, we want to see the international fan base. The artists in Zimbabwe who have done that. That's where we want to be. We want our artists to be able to make us shine, to make us proud, and they have to go international. Yes, like what Mukomba is doing, but not everybody does that traditional sound, right? Some people do R&B, some people do hip hop, and some people do dancehall, and it's a little bit more harder to penetrate certain markets with that. But if you study the markets of each, don't be stuck. Listen to music from other areas. It'll open your mind. Travel a little bit. It'll.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I mean, for me, traveling is opened my mind on so many possibilities, so many new ideas. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. It's really a big honor, and I really appreciate you taking time. I've had to stay up very late also because I couldn't miss.
I'm so it's like I think it's about what? It's like okay, yeah, there's still time. It's 7:40. It's almost 8 o'clock, but it's And oh, by the way, just to all the artists in Zim, I'm really loving the sound that's coming out of Zim. There's some people who have really impressed me. There's some people who have really shocked me, and I just want our country to be there. We need to be able to sell our culture. We need to be able to sell who we are. We need to put our names out there. I'm always available if you reach out. There is nobody who can say they've reached out to me and I've ignored them. I'm always there to make the conversation. I'm always there to respond, and I'm always there to try to help someone else get to where they are supposed to get to. All right. Anytime you need me, anytime you need to. I know there's things that we spoke about and that I didn't mention on the interview. We will talk about it. We'll have that conversation. And I feel some of it will be able to help artists, some of it will be able to help people get where they're supposed to. But the most important thing for our artists is they've got to learn one thing: playing the blame game and not doing a proper audit of how things got to be where they got to. The biggest problem in Zimbabwe is not the consumers, because the consumers are consuming music. The biggest problem in Zimbabwe is we have no business structure overall. We have no distribution. We have no way of accounting who is the number one artist. Why are they the number one artist? Not only because they've got the biggest YouTube views. How much money are they really making? The same way that maybe on a Forbes have got a list. How many hits has this person made? And what do we consider a hit in Zimbabwe? For a song within the hit, is it because it goes with every party? It is because that song is actually making sales, right? We don't have that system. So we need to be able to have a system where we can account for everything, and we know, okay, Protk should be standing there and having bragging rights. But yes, and I'm the biggest artist in the country because I'm doing this. But as long as we get to a point where we're fighting with who is the biggest artist in Zimbabwe, it means that there's something that we're not doing right. For Americans, who is the biggest rapper? We know who the biggest rapper is, who the biggest R&B singer is. We know we can do a top 5.
Yes, because it's supported by numbers.
By numbers. In our country, hakuna numbers is niche. We can't base radio. It's difficult to base on radio. It's difficult because you get an artist who might have million views on YouTube, but not necessarily getting airplay on radio, right? And you might get an artist who's touring in the UK, in the States, but radio. So you've got like 5 structures of the music industry in one. So we need someone else who is able. So while you're doing whatever you're doing, help come up with a structure. We will help with ideas. So we can have a place that we can make reference to. The issues, my states are out of the ningin, and the ningin, the aripa. It helps us making sure that Jah Praiser is paid whatever money that is due to him. That Cindy is paid whatever amount of money that's due to her. That when they go for shows, when they do for their publishing, for their endorsement deals, for their merchandising, all that stuff is things we need to be able to do and to create, and not just hype artists on Facebook alone.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man. Profound.
All right, bro.
And I really appreciate to everybody who was watching. I'm out. Until next time, until the next conversation. Thank you so much, Bryce. Peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was it, and thank you so much for staying up long, except for those that are in the different time zones. Yeah, it's a bow from me, and I hope there's 1 or 2, 3 things that people learned from the conversation, and that this conversation will continue until it reaches to the intended consumer, who happens to be the artist and the corporate and anyone else. So,
Earground.